Welcome to this meeting of the Board of Education. I do want to, before we start, to remind you that you may always submit comments to us. They usually come to me, and then I distribute them among the board at boe@wcps.k12.md.us, the same suffix that's with anybody who works for the board. I'd like to now call this meeting to order and declare that we do have a quorum. And we are really wonderfully blessed to have a student with us today to do the Pledge of Allegiance. From Fountaindale, our fifth grade student is Lena Vienna Tolentino. Okay, if you'll stand for the pledge and then remain standing for a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Lord. Lead us, guide us to do everything in our power to promote students. Thank you so much. Please be seated. And now, Lena, you are in the hot seat. I'd like you to tell us who you brought with you tonight.
I brought with me my parents, my sister, my teachers, and my principal.
Okay, let's wave parents and sister. And from your school? Okay. Now, I hear that you've been dancing for 8 years.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's even before you went to school.
Yeah.
So you've been dancing most of your life.
Mm-hmm.
What other things do you like to do?
I like to do basketball and football.
That's great because flag football is becoming really big in our county. How long have you been playing basketball?
I think this is my third or second year playing.
So, besides your athletic side and your dancing side, you also have a musical side?
Yeah.
What instrument do you play?
I play the cello.
Which is bigger, you or the cello?
Me just by a little bit.
And you like to sing?
Yeah.
So the next time we need a national anthem, we can call on you? And what's your favorite food?
It's penne.
Ah. And you do all this while you're in the magnet program?
Correct.
How do you accomplish all of that?
I honestly don't know.
Is there anything you'd like to also add?
I don't know.
Colleagues, do you have a question? Thank you so much. Like I told you, this is my favorite part of the meeting. We appreciate you coming so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I need approval of do I have a motion to approve the agenda? And second? Second. All those in favor? We have an agenda. How about approval of the minutes?
President Zimmer, I move for approval of closed session minutes, open portion dated August 19, 2025.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? They stand approved.
President Zimmer, I move for approval of closed session minutes dated August 19, 2025. Open and,
Okay.
yeah, regular portion and.
Okay, I was wondering about when I offered to make amendments to that, but okay.
Yeah, now we do.
Okay, all those in favor?
No, wait, wasn't there an amendment?
It was closed session, I can't.
Oh, okay.
All those in favor? They stand approved. And the final minutes?
I move for approval of the business meeting minutes dated August 19, 2025.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Okay, the minute,
Are we sure that, maybe that was the business meeting? Miss Murray was asking that the name of one of the speakers be changed to Malo, not Mallow.
yeah, we're going to make the typo. I don't think we need an amendment to fix a
Perfect.
typo.
Okay.
Okay. And we're beginning with a really, really exciting part of our agenda tonight. Dr. Savine?
Thank you, President Zentmeyer, members of the board. This evening, we have some student celebrations from last year. The announcement of these achievements came after the final board meeting, 2024-25 school year. So we'd like to highlight these accomplishments tonight. At this time, I'll invite Eric Michael, our Supervisor of Athletics, Health, and Physical Education. We'll start off by honoring our spring state champion athletes.
Good evening. Tonight I want to recap our spring state championship season. We had a really good season. We had a really good year of athletics in Washington County. So I want to just announce some of our championships that we had, and then I'll introduce our guests tonight. We had several individuals win state championships this year, and a lot of them are not here because now they're competing at the collegiate level. So they obviously couldn't be with us tonight. But just to mention them, we had tennis. We had, in the 1A, we had a girls singles champion. We had a boys singles champion. In track and field, we had several individuals that were winners. In 1A, boys triple jump, we had a champion. In the 3A girls, we had 1,600-meter run champion and a 3,200-meter run champion. And then we had, on the girls' side, we had relays. We had the 4x100 relay, the 4x200 relay, the 4x400 relay, and the 4x800 relay, all swept by Smithsburg girls in 1A, which moved them on to the 1A team championship. So they capped off a great career with that set of girls. Unfortunately, none of the girls are here tonight because most of them, again, are seniors and off in college, and the others that are undergraduates are actually competing tonight with their fall sports teams. So they have a good reason for not being here with us. The next group I want to introduce, though, is our Unified Division III champions. So we have two teams here tonight. The neat thing about Unified in the spirit of that Unified Sports is the fact that they allow, if there's not enough to compete as one team, they allow teams to merge together and do that. So tonight we have with us the North Hagerstown Unified champions and Smithsburg who competed together to win that Division III championship. And we want to introduce North Hagerstown tonight first. The individuals on this team are Logan Baumgartner. Max DeLoesher. Miracle Liverpool.
Yay, Miracle!
Javarian Mallory. Lucas Ortiz. Lindsay Paulus. Louisa Poffenberger. Ari Riley. Shane Stevenson. Head coach Julie Tooth. Tooth. Tabitha Roderick, assistant coach. And Amelia Rowden. They all had O's in their names and pronounced differently, so I knew I was going to mess that up. And then next with us is the Smithsburg Unified track team. And with us tonight is Hannah Donnelly. Thomas Reynolds. And head coach Larry Eichelberger. Your Division III Unified State Track and Field champions. And I believe as you take the picture, Peyton Donnelly is off in college, but they do have a photo of her so she can get in the team photo.
Thomas, you want to scoot down just a little bit?
Let some parent photos go first. Okay. All right, official photo right here. I'm getting you. All right, but get a little bit closer in the front row. All right. We're good. We're good. We got it. All right, good. Smiles here on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Shane, smile.
All right,
Better, Shane.
1, 2, 3.
I take your phone if you don't smile.
One more. Good smiles right here. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations.
Way to go!
You go down there now, but I don't know.
Take it easy, bro.
And next, the Tri-M Music Honor Society at North Hagerstown High School is being recognized for their efforts once again, 2 consecutive years. I'd like to introduce and welcome Micah Sox, the Supervisor of Visual and Performing Arts, to tell us more about this award and to introduce our chapter leaders. Mr. Sox.
Thank you, Dr. Sabine, and good evening, President Zentmeyer and members of the board. We're proud tonight to celebrate the North Hagerstown High School Tri-M chapter and recognize their success as Maryland's State Chapter of the Year for the 2nd year in a row. The Tri-M Music Honor Society is the International Music Honor Society for high school students. It is designed to recognize students for their academic and musical achievements, reward them for their accomplishments and service activities, and to inspire other students to excel at music and leadership. Nationally, there are more than 9,700 chartered chapters and approximately 80,000 student members. I'd like to call forward the student leaders for North High's chapter. President Shane Bigsby. Vice President Lauren Lee. Secretary Betsy Vo. Treasurer Jennifer Ram. Historian Rachel Liu. And Directors of Communication Jason Neal and Ava Lucas. It's Special thanks also to the music department at North High and co-advisors Dr. Janine Sturm, Jessica Maynor, and Hannah Flack. Let's have a big hand for these talented student leaders.
There we go. All right, on three. 1, 2, 3. One more for good measure. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations.
Our next part is where we have public comment at our meetings. Before I call individuals forward who'd like to make comments, I'd like to read from Policy KD regarding the procedures. Each person wishing to address the Board of Education is required to sign up prior to the meeting or by signing the log at the back of the auditorium prior to public comment. Speakers may address any topic concerning Washington County Public Schools, our educational environment, student well-being, school operations. Comments outside these parameters, including personnel or student matters that clearly identify an individual or individuals, will be deemed inappropriate and redirected to be addressed in a different forum. Each speaker has 4 minutes. A timer will be used. When the timer is started, a green light is displayed. Then the speaker has 30 seconds remaining. A yellow light will come on. When that yellow light goes out, a red light comes on, and the microphone will go off. A speaker is unable to conclude their comments within the allotted 4 minutes may submit the remainder of their comments in writing to the board via boe@wcps.k12.md.us, or by mail, or by providing a written copy of their comments to the Board of Ed this meeting. It's pretty important for me for you to put your subject, what you want to speak on. Obviously, some people have put their organization, but I need to know what it is, because when we have individuals who sign up to speak about a specific staff member, that person cannot speak according to Policy KD. Without further ado, Alina Chester.
So yeah, I'm Alina Chester. I'm the mom of a WCPS student at Fountaindale. He's in 2nd grade. And I also have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. I just wanted to speak on the Advanced Learner and the Magnet programs. Very much in their favor. It's really the only choice that parents have in the county. And I wanted the board to know my experience with it, to maybe help you with future policymaking. So there was an Advanced Learner pre-K at Greenbrier Elementary, which was phenomenal. My son went there. All the kids from that group ended up getting into Magnet for the 2nd grade. Every parent that I've kept in touch with from there, which is a lot, like 12. But the way the program has been running, and I want to say that there's been a change recently, but the way that the program has been running is the Advanced Learner pre-K students then get put back into the Gen Ed homeschool for K and 1, and then they test back into Magnet. And just as a parent, and especially with gifted students, are students with special needs of their own in a way, and it's a lot of changing schools for them, of going pre-K and then having to go K, and then with my particular son, we ended up doing a different kinder, a different first. So it was actually 4 schools in 4 years. For every other kid, it would be 3 schools in 3 years, in 4 years. But it's still, it's a lot of changing. And the other thing that we noticed across the group of all the parents of that advanced learner pre-K was that the kids back in the gen ed classrooms were way, just at a different level than the other kids in the classroom. And I think it was probably hard for the teacher to give them the attention that they needed. And so some of the kids had like behavioral problems, or some of the kids were just bored. Like my kid was just not challenged, you know? And so what I would hope for the future, I still have 2 little kids and it's not too late to change it, would be for there to be an advanced learner pre-K, and then for there to be an advanced learner first, kinder and first, and then let the kids test at that point again into magnet or not, or at least like keep it all in the same school where possible, just so it's not so much transition for the kids, and also kind of an up and down with their learning pattern. So that's what I wanted to bring to you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Roger Stenerson.
Good evening, Dr. Zentmeyer, board members, Dr. Sovine. As you know, I'm Roger Stenerson, Communications Director for Rising to Learn. Pleased to be here this evening. Over the past several months, we've had several exchanges relating to individual comments and references. Tonight, I'd like to broaden our focus a little bit to the development of your 2027 operating budget, just as our 2026 budget is being implemented. In last week's work session, we heard from the superintendent about the 4 focal points of the strategic plan. First one is culture, safety, and wellness. The second, student success. The third, access and opportunities. And the fourth, community engagement. It was consistently encouraging to hear Dr. Willow provide examples in last week's work session of how students were provided access and opportunity to benefit, for example, from the dual credit program with Hagerstown Community College, among other strategies. In last month's work session, we also heard about Landon's project, which will provide another dimension of instruction for individual students with special needs and permit them to experience a greater degree of student success. The high school tutoring partnership with elementary schools not only provides younger students with extra help and differentiation in their classrooms, but as has been observed, could also be said to act as the first step for high school students on a pathway to a career in education. This extends those high school students' community engagement while they are still in high school. Finally, while many in our community disagreed with your decision not to include additional school safety and security assistant positions in this year's budget, those positions would have represented your addressing a portion of the culture, safety, and wellness focus of the strategic plan had they been funded. Rising to Learn does encourage you to reflect on that decision and to accept the recommendations of the superintendent and staff made last year to add additional school safety and security assistance in the 2027 operating budget. Having taken this brief walk through several mostly successful additions to our school system through the lens of your strategic priorities, past and present, Rising to Learn looks forward to sharing our thinking with you as you advance ideas and collect information to inform the development of successful ways to address the objectives of the strategic plan. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you. Curtis Ray.
Hello, I'm Curtis Ray. I'm currently running for County Commissioner for 2026. Reason I'm here today is that there has been certain things happening at the county that is probably going to result in disciplinary action to a potential member. There has been some pretty egregious public proclamations that the individual has made or potentially made. And I won't go much into detail, but pretty much everyone here knows exactly what I'm talking about. I'm here to actually stand and say, though, I don't agree with what he said in any fashion, but as long as he didn't make any of these proclamations during school hours in front of children, I think that if he did it on his personal time, then I believe we as Republicans should, in our strength, honor our First Amendment. Discuss with him that as school officials, we should not make such public proclamations. Probably turn your Facebook to private and keep those thoughts to yourself and your friends. If you truly wish to make these proclamations consistently, then I would ask that he should probably resign, effective immediately. But in life, it's about second chances and forgiveness. Do not be so fast to give the blade to this individual. Offer him a chance of redemption. Show him our strength by offering mercy if he apologizes, which legally we can't require him to do because he is still protected by the First Amendment. But if he does, I say grant him forgiveness, let him speak. Most people on the left don't preach tolerance. So let's prove them that we, as the right, can actually do tolerance. Because remember, true warriors go against the grain. If the hard path was easy, everyone would do it. Thank you for listening to my speech. Remember, Curtis Ray for County Commissioner 2026, Araya Holt.
Carol Mallon, thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Zentmeyer, Dr. Sovine, and members of the board. I'm Carol Mowen, president of the Washington County Teachers Association. Did you know that today is National Voter Registration Day? This annual observance is a civic holiday celebrated on the third Tuesday of September and is supported in part by the League of Women Voters as well as many other national organizations and corporate sponsors. Today, more than 600 state and local leagues held voter registration events and encouraged people to check their registration status, making this the largest single-day voter registration drive of the year. This annual observance of National Voter Registration Day highlights the importance of voting to a healthy democracy, and I'm here to highlight why that matters to us as employees and to all stakeholders of the Washington County Public Schools. National post-election data from 2024 showed that nearly 1 in 4 eligible voters were either not registered or were unsure of their registration status. According to the Center for Information and Research on Civic Learning and Engagement, close to half of young people, 47% aged 18 to 29, voted in the last presidential election. Since 2010, Maryland's high school students can pre-register to vote when they're 16. And in 2011, Maryland began electronically registering people to vote when they get their driver's licenses. Maryland's American Government Curriculum Framework includes voter registration drives as a topic, and many Maryland schools have developed voter registration and education programs. These efforts have moved Maryland in the right direction, but many young voters in Washington County are still not engaging. Data posted at the Civic Center website shows that as of late 2023, Washington County ranked number 18 out of 24 school districts with a 32.9% pre-registration rate for 16 and 17-year-olds, which is well below the top numbers posted by the top 3 counties on the list. Frederick County, for example, came in number 3 with 42.5% pre-registered. In addition, when looking at 18-year-old voter registrations, Washington County ranks 15th. In Maryland, school board elections are nonpartisan by law. The intent behind this system is to prioritize student interest, informed deliberation, and local issues rather than partisan ideologies. But while legally nonpartisan, Maryland school board elections have become increasingly politicized in recent years. When voters make decisions based on national culture war issues, local issues such as large class sizes, aging schools, and staffing necessary to ensure safe and orderly schools, issues that are important to all of us get lost in the divisive rhetoric. For the students, parents, and community stakeholders in attendance tonight or viewing this meeting online, I encourage you to support efforts to ensure local school board elections are nonpartisan and to become fully informed about the real issues impacting our schools. In addition, I encourage you to register to vote, and if you're not sure if you are registered, go to the nationalvoterregistrationday.org website to check. While we do not have a school board election this November, in 2026, 3 school board seats will be on the ballot. I ask that each incumbent here who is considering running for re-election and all Board of Education candidates please participate in the nonpartisan interview and endorsement opportunities available from WCTA and other organizations. And I urge you to leave partisan politics on the sideline so that you can focus on local educational issues that need local solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Pam Abson. Is Pam here?
Good evening, Dr. Zentmeyer. I'm Pam Abston. I am the Vice President of WCTA. Good evening, Dr. Savine and esteemed board members. Please pardon my casual dress. When I speak before an esteemed body like you, I usually dress differently. But today, as always, I'm proud to be a Wildcat from Williamsport. And I'd like to speak about that today, if you don't mind. Tonight, I'm wearing different hats. I'm Vice President of WCTA. I am a WCTA board member. I am a building rep for Williamsport High School, as well as a teacher there. And that's what I want to bring to your attention tonight. Students and teachers are doing our best at Williamsport High School to settle. We literally were thrown the same thing that you guys were thrown, a situation for which there's no playbook. We understand that. As a trained and experienced administrator, I've told Mr. Knoll, my fearless leader, and Dr. Savine, my other fearless leader, I really don't know how you handle that. But we're trying to do our best for students. When Dr. Savine comes to see us, what I always answer him as, we're doing the best we can for kids, because that's what it's about. It's about the students, and the adults are doing the best that we can to keep our heads above water. Friday evening, we received, at the same time the public received, a board doc that said there's going to be a survey that has option 1 and option 2. We had absolutely no knowledge that that was coming. So you can imagine, as the building rep, my phone starts blowing up Friday night. I tried not to deal with it all weekend. By the time I got to school on Monday, it was quite a buzz, because option 2 is a very different, radical position from where we are right now. I'd like to just pause for a minute and ask the people who are here with me representing Williamsport High School and supporting Williamsport High School to stand for just a second. If you guys will please stand. Many of our voices are not here because they're coaching students, and because they're tutoring students, and because they have children of their own. So when we looked at the option 2 plan, we analyzed the master schedule. 6 to 10 teachers have 1 grade that they teach. The rest of us have multiple grades, according to our assessment. There may be a few more, maybe a few less. Option 2 says most Williamsport High School students will continue with their Williamsport High School teachers. I'm not sure what that means. When we're talking about going to Clear Spring, possibility in the option of going to Clear Spring or going to a couple other high schools, we're not sure what that means, that most of our students will be taught by Williamsport High School teachers. Another mention in there was that academic courses will be taught a certain way. All our courses are academic. But if we're talking about core courses, if that's what that means, then again, we have less than 6, we have 6 to 10 teachers on our staff that teach 1 grade level. It also says there will be no virtual for core teachers because teachers are teaching in person, it will be impossible for us to teach in person as a core teacher. I'm not a core teacher, I'm an intervention teacher, and also to teach virtually. Extended school day, time and location. I see I'm running out of time, but I want to say this clearly. Your staff followed your directive to do what was best for our students. And we went to the location that was chosen that you thought was best. And we adjusted our time and our travel time and our commute in and out time. And now there's another option that the day's going to be extended at a different place. I ask that you please consider our input before options are put out to the public, if you don't mind. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Ethan Lowen.
Good evening, I'm Ethan Lowen. You know, I was very surprised, but at the last meeting, the teachers union actually gave a speech where essentially they pulled their endorsement from all of the candidates they endorsed in the last election and gave a speech in support of all the candidates that ran against their Apple ballot candidates. Wasn't that interesting? They essentially gave a speech that the parents, the teachers that have been coming to this board for years and saying we need safety in the schools, they were supporting it. They were saying we need safety. That for the first time in ever, they didn't say, oh, violence is communication. It's unjust to not allow students to stay in the classroom. Oh my gosh, imagine the surprise. Of course, then as the speech was finishing up, the solutions to the violence was all the same solutions. So actually it was words to give a different image, but the meaning was exactly the same. And that kind of brings me to an event that occurred last week where there was a guy, his name was Charlie Kirk, was assassinated. And what was really interesting, because I'd never really heard of, I mean, I heard of him, don't get me wrong, I've heard of him, but I really only knew what kind of the one side of the political spectrum news media called him as a fascist and what the other side referred to him as a potential Reagan-esque type person. But what was interesting is I got to see the conversations he had with students as they were just in the Facebook feed. And it was fascinating. Actually, I think to individuals 30 and under that grew up in an American public school system that has been dominated by the teachers union philosophy since before they were born, he's more of a Martin Luther King type individual. You know, one thing that happened is I saw one conversation where what he was saying was, hey, you know, an individual child came to him and he said, I'm gay, and he gave his list of DEI criteria. And what Charlie Kirk said was, no, Mr. Smith, you know, don't put yourself in, don't list off your DEI categories that you were trained to think of yourself as. You are John Smith. And you coming up here and speaking is your character. That's what you need. And what I realized as you watch all of these videos is that what he was healing. He was healing for a generation that grew up in indoctrination, where they were told, no, you think like this, think like that, here's the opinions, right? And these kids could have talked, because he took all questions, they could have talked to him about studying, and he answered those questions here, so I think you should study. But the children came to him and said, this is what I'm asking you about. This is what I want healing from. And they came by the thousands and the thousands and the thousands. It was fascinating and obviously life-changing for these kids. And so as we go through, and you know, you have these issues like when those parents said, you know, to that teacher out in Boonesboro, hey, can you have this teacher stop talking to my child about their personal life and political issues and just educate? And the response was, oh, well, we call it rapport building and that's what we support. So no, that teacher can continue doing that. Well, what about education? You know, or this other teacher at the high school where basically made it very, very clear that, that he is in deep opposition to everything that Charlie Kirk, or no, not Charlie Kirk, he's in deep opposition to what the kids came to talk to him about. And that he is going to continue to teach he's going to continue to indoctrinate the opposite. into the children. What is going to be done about this? Because it has become a movement. The damage, the children have stated the damage that has been caused by all of this. When are you
Thank you,
going to
Ethan.
fix it with the teachers union changing their policies? Thank you.
Levi Trumbull. Did I say that right?
You did say that right. Good evening, Washington County Board of Education. My name is Levi Trumbull, and to start off, I'd like to say, boy, is it nice to see Melissa Williams not at this
we're
meeting.
not-
What?
If you're addressing our board, we have to keep names out of it.
Okay, well, I'm just saying it's nice to not see her here because she was elected out of her office, her official position. It's also a shame that Linda is not here because I wanted to actually congratulate her on her internet virality. I think she would know what I meant by that, but in any event, I wanted to first speak on the tragedy involving Charlie Kirk this week. I haven't spoken about this publicly, but my ties with video production, actually on multiple occasions, have led me to interact with him. And all of the good things that you have heard about him are true. He was kind, he was humble, he was generous, he was just a very good individual who would speak with anyone. He was warm, he just welcomed anyone, truly. The TV pundits have called the situation with him, or with his assassination, they've called it evil. But I think evil is really the smaller problem here. I think it's the fact that as a society, we have become complacent with that evil. We don't even care anymore. Society's like, whatever, you want to do bad, you do you. And I think it's when millions gather to decide that they are not going to accept that kind of evil and hatred is when we really start to see results. We need to stomp it out. We need to crush the heads of the serpents whenever they appear. And part of stomping it out is accountability. There are a lot of rumors going on about a Washington County marching band director, some guy named Gallagher. Out of order? What's out of order about that?
Mind your business.
Is that out of order? What's out of order? Well, I'm a free man. I have a First Amendment.
First Amendment.
Are you telling me this is not germane to Washington County Public Schools, the fact that there's a marching band guy who's basically okay with the fact that Charlie Kirk was assassinated? How am I out of order?
All
that
right.
clock is moving. I'm not out of order. Am I out of order?
I can't
They
hear
haven't
you.
even stopped the timer yet. How am I out of order? I can say names. What do you mean no? Yes,
Gallagher.
I can. Gallagher. The guy's name is okay. So evidently the guy. Are you all? How many of you in here date this guy? Put a hand up. All of you? I don't understand. Well, I'm not out of order. Hey, how about we get some decorum in this room? See, this is what we're fighting against, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we're fighting against right here. Here it is. It's right here.
Point of
The
order.
bottom line is that you guys need to handle it. I still have 40 seconds. I'm going to close out here. And the moment we start holding people like this guy, listen, the rumor is people are not happy. He's made statements. Yeah,
Mind your business.
I can't wait to okay.
It's not your freaking business. It's his
How much money does okay. This here you're right. Right. There we go. There we go. How much do you guys get paid by the bureaucracy? I'm just curious to be here tonight. Zero? Okay, well, that's a shame. You should get whose agenda? My own agenda.
Thank
You
you.
allowed his time to be stolen by these libtards. Why didn't you
Sean,
stop?
would you like to speak now?
What do you think about that?
Yes, you would?
He's speaking. He needs to finish his
He's
statement.
finished, but you're up.
I think I should speak.
You didn't let him talk because you didn't control your audience,
Yeah.
ma'am.
You have
Madam
rights,
President,
Norm.
I like you, but you have to control the libtards so he can speak.
I thought they were with you. Are you ready to talk?
He needs to finish.
Yeah, I do.
It's not my
No,
time.
nobody stole
Let him
anything.
finish.
Yeah.
Let him finish.
Somebody want to move to
I'm next.
remove?
There are some that should be removed from the audience.
I'm sorry, what?
There's some that should be removed from the audience.
Yes.
We're being very disruptive.
Thank you, Mr. Burkett. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
How so?
Wait, enough. Well, you have the 11 seconds that they took, taken.
11 seconds? They've said, how many times do you think they said out of order cumulatively? Was it 300 times or?
You're using your time, bud.
You know what? You know what? It's heckler's veto is what it is. That's what it is. You don't like what I'm saying, and you're trying to shut down. You're doing exactly what the people on Charlie Kirk's campus did to him. They tried to shut him down, and they did it with a bullet. Okay.
Is that wrong?
We're not.
I am finished. All I was saying was this guy Gallagher, all right, he should be held accountable. The majority opinion, not these people, in Washington County and across Maryland, is that people should not be making comments like that after a brutal assassination. It doesn't matter what your political ideology is. Yeah, it's free speech. Listen, they're cool with it. You should hear what's coming up back. You should hear this. I'm finished. Thank you, guys. Levi
Sean
Trump.
Porter.
Yeah, boo you.
Ladies and gentlemen who are seated, please refrain from commenting.
Or coughing during somebody's comments.
I'll stay here all night. No one will be able to stop me. So keep doing what you did to Levi and see how it works with me, freaks.
Sean, I can't hear you.
How are you this evening? I don't know if I'm going to be able to give my comment because Michael Gesford is my inspiration, but I'm going to try my best. So I would like to first state that the gentleman that made the comments online in support of the murder of Charlie Kirk, who's a WCPS employee at South High in charge of the marching band, he made those statements publicly, but I have spies everywhere, and as soon as he made it, it was screenshotted and sent to me because it was only disseminated to his friends list. But one of his friends betrayed him, sent it to me, and I posted it everywhere, all over the internet. Anytime something happens, people tell me about it. Whether I choose to disseminate that information around Washington County and the internet is up to me, and it depends on whether or not I'm interested in the situation. Long story short, I simply don't believe that we should support teachers making statements like that, and it goes to his heart. He really does want to see people on the right killed. He supports the murder of innocent human beings, and it is absolutely despicable. Why would you let anyone support murder and continue to work for our school system and teach our kids and come out of my taxes? I personally think I deserve a tax return because, you know, whatever you gave that dude, give it back to the citizens and get rid of him. He has the right to free speech, but we also have the right not to hire depraved people who support the murder and assassination of innocent individuals, and the only thing that they're guilty of doing is speaking the truth. Like Curtis Ray, when he got arrested for talking about John Barr's child molestation allegations and asking for him to resign at public speaking at the commissioner's office. John Barr eliminated public comment in the county, period. There's no more public comment, no more free speech. He is like an assassin, but for free speech. He literally had that man who's running against him in the commissioner's race arrested because he brought up circuit court documents showing that John Barr was investigated in 2 different counties for child molestation and incest. And then he asked for John Barr to resign. That's despicable stuff right there. So is posting on the internet that they're happy that Charlie Kirk is dead and he's a racist, a homophobe, and a xenophobe. So basically, if you are a racist, a xenophobe, and a homophobe, you should be executed, is what a person who's paid for by this governing body and this school system is going around saying. I don't think that's right. I'll get back to that in a second. You guys always talk about the teachers' unions. They come up here, they speak. They're an integral part of the school system. They represent the teachers. Well, they formed their own special teachers union when Melissa Williams was voted out of office, and so was Stan Stauffer. I'm saying the names because it's protected free speech. When they were voted out of office, they went and started this Rising to Learn crap. All it is, it's actually headed by the head of the teachers union. So it's like a separate school board to interfere with this school board's good deeds. So these lefties went and formed their own whacked out, Cracker Barrel, Bud Light, transgender supporting wacko ideology organization called Rising to Learn, and they're trying to influence the next election cycle. So I'm literally just here speaking as a foil to what that guy said, trying to make it seem like they're good-hearted individuals that are worried about the students. They're worried about power. The Democrats gave $80,000 to try and get back the school board or get their members installed this election cycle. Linda Murray, who ran as a Republican and a conservative, she's now a Democrat. She has betrayed the people. Want to know why? She knew she was getting voted out. She needed that money from the Democrats from Annapolis. She's an outsider. She's a carpetbagger. She's not one of the people that are sitting in here. She needs to be voted out next election cycle. Rising to Learn is trying to get her reelected, as well as any other whacked out left-wing nut jobs who support transgender ideology and support the murder of people like Charlie Kirk. We currently have teachers going around saying the murder of Charlie Kirk is a great thing. It is not. They shouldn't be saying that. And quite honestly, we shouldn't have depraved murderers or people who cheerlead murder working for WCPS. That's just my 2 cents. So anyway, you guys have a great day.
Thank you. Susan Day.
You were awfully quiet for me, weren't you?
Susan Day, concerned citizen of Washington County. I signed up just in case, and I'm certainly glad I did. One of the things that you started the meeting with was reviewing policy. That we are here for the children of Washington County Public Schools. And our topics must be related to that. And yet, I am disappointed that we have gone on and on about, I will say, Charlie Kirk, because that is not a Washington County Public Schools on the agenda. It's not part of our agenda. It's not something we can change. It was a horrific thing. Anybody being killed to me is horrific, Republican or Democrat. I am bipartisan when it comes to murder. But that doesn't have anything to do with us. And so I feel like, again, we are back to, and you said it at the beginning, topics must be related to Washington County Public Schools and things that go on within our schools. Now, they said, okay, teachers, guess what? Don't you have a personal opinion? Outside of this board, you all have personal opinions. I have personal opinions. But as adults who represent the children of Washington County, we have to draw the line where this is my personal opinion, and I say that on Facebook. That doesn't mean that I can't separate myself from what's happening here. And you've heard me speak. I speak about the children and doing what is best for them in our policies. I guess we have to let people talk about things that are irrelevant to our children. I get that. But again, we need to focus on the children. Saying things like somebody changed parties. I'm not sure how you find that information out. I would love to know how I know that somebody changed a party from, you went there and they gave it to you?
Yeah, it's available online too.
Thank you. I will check into that. I do appreciate your information. Again, but this whole thing about going on about topics that are irrelevant or saying that teachers can't have an opinion outside of school. Of course they can. We all have opinions outside of our jobs. I worked for Citibank for many years. Guess what? They did things that I thought were morally wrong. But I didn't say a thing at work, and I went home and was like, whoa, man, can't believe we did that. But at work, that's the party line. Okay, we're there to issue this and do that, but we all have many roles in life. I'm a mother, I'm a spouse. You're on the board and you're a mother. So the decisions you make here are for the well-being of all the children of Washington County, not 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. You have 3 children. You're 2? Sorry, you have 3. I get you can get that confused who had. But the point is, we are here for children. And so to bring all this other nonsense into our meetings, again, is continuing to get out of hand, okay? That's all I want to say is, let's stay focused on doing what is best for our children. Yes, do we want more safety? Yes, but there's also a balance. Money isn't unending. So to say, well, we're pulling, somebody back there pulled support from somebody because, they wanted this and wasn't that. If there was enough money, we would do everything, right? You wouldn't, everything within reason. You know, we would get better lunches as somebody asked for at the last meeting, but money isn't unending. So please, we are here for the children of Washington County. Let's not lose that focus.
Thank you. Now it's time for board members' comments for the public.
I would like to speak. So, I was unfortunate enough to see the up-close and personal video of Charlie Kirk being assassinated. And I think that's something that's going to live with me forever. And I thought that was as bad as my day was going to get. And then half of the country celebrated it or gave a reason why it was justified. And I am so completely saddened by how broken our society is. Now, these same people who feel justified that his speech gave him the death sentence and they gave a reason that they felt that was good enough are the same people who are upset because some people may be getting fired because of their freedom of speech. I've heard a lot of talk about policy, and I'm actually glad because I do think our policy also needs to be looked into because I think I've given some reasons that justify my stance on things, so I hope that is looked into. It isn't irrelevant to our children. My son is in 7th grade. I'm not political at home. We do not watch the news at all. He did not know who Charlie Kirk was until he went to school, and everyone at school was talking about it, showed him a video. This is affecting our children. And there are children on both sides of things. I'm aware that there are children who have cheered about this, and I'm aware there are children who are crying about this. This is not what I want for our children, and I think we are also setting a very bad example, even just here. So it breaks my heart a little bit. I do hope that we can find a way to mend on both sides because I'm so saddened by how ugly everything looks right now. On a different note, I'm sorry. I do agree with those at Williamsport. I do think that a conversation should have happened with you guys first. I don't know why that didn't happen, but I can understand the frustration. And I'm personally fine with holding off on whatever conversations that we had planned and waiting to talk to you guys first. And that's everything.
To follow. You said a lot of what I would like to say, Ashley. There's a lot of brokenness in our community, and I absolutely agree that this is a topic that has impacted everybody, even our students. So I disagree that it's off topic. I did want to just comment on the advanced learner pre-K. Appreciate you bringing that to us. That's something I had no idea about, but certainly having 3 kids and one of them being really not great with change, I can appreciate that feedback. And then the same thing, I'll echo what Ashley said about the Williamsport survey. That's something I would absolutely say that we could we'll pull back on sending that out until we get some of your feedback.
Yeah, I'll just say that there's quite a bit that I'd like to say, but I'll just keep it short and simple to one topic. I appreciate the comment about Williamsport. I know that I have personally been pretty tough on staff because I want the kids back in school in person, and I know I make it sound a lot easier than it actually is, and I know you realize that. So I really appreciate your patience and all the teachers' patience and parents and families. It's not easy, and we know we don't always get it right, but we're going to certainly heed your words and make sure that we do our best to get as close to right as possible. So thank you for coming out and bringing that to our attention as well.
April. I didn't get the chance.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that anybody is saying that, no one is saying that you can't have an opinion. And I think tonight showed that when somebody expresses their opinion, it can be quieted by people who don't want to hear opinions. And while I may not agree with how some people express themselves or how some things come across, I am really disappointed in how one individual handled themselves tonight in the group. It was a little disappointing to see and hear. You know, this idea about people having opinions, and we have to hold ourselves, teachers, people in authority over young people, we have to hold ourselves to a higher level of responsibility when we are teaching children, when we are working with children. There's a lot of things that I would love to say, but I can't simply because of the position I hold, not just here at the Board of Ed, but also in my personal life as an assistant pastor. There's a lot that I'd love to say, but I know that I can't because people are watching. And when people are watching you, especially young people, and they're listening to you, that stuff goes in. And so I agree with Ashley and many of these other guys up here that, you know what happened was unfortunate that somebody would repost something so horrible about an individual no matter where they stood. And I would say that whether Democrat or Republican. And I don't know whether he was Republican or Democrat. Obviously, there might be a clue there. As far as Williamsport, I'm glad you came up and spoke. I can't see where she is. I'm glad you came up and spoke because it enlightened us. We don't hear everything that's going on all the time directly, and so that's why we do public comment, which, by the way, if we didn't want to hear opinions, we wouldn't have public comment. And I love that somebody brought up tonight voter registration. It is voter registration time. It is time that if you don't like the direction that something's going, then you sign up to vote and you get out and you vote, no matter which side you're on.
Thank you, President Williams. Or, excuse me, President Zentmeyer. I do want to comment and first just extend my appreciation to our Williamsport High School teachers, staff, and community. And I just want to say I agree. You deserve to have a conversation before you learned of a survey that was designed to seek your feedback before a decision was made. However, sometimes we hit the mark, sometimes we do not. And I own that as a superintendent. We did not hit the mark there, and I extend my apologies. You are amazing people working special magic with our students in a very unique circumstance. And we appreciate you, appreciate the feedback. We will work with your team and certainly delay the survey and have the conversations because you deserve to know the intent. But keep in mind, the intent was to seek your feedback through the survey as well as parents and students if there would be a change or if there was a desire for that change. And recognize where possible, the desire would be to be in person. However, providing the best quality education under the circumstances is critical. But I just want to say I'm sorry. We did not hit the mark there. The superintendent and our team will work to do better. And I want to thank you for what you're doing in very challenging circumstances. President Zentmeyer and members of the board, thank you.
Thank you. We're moving on now to.
Yeah, I think she wants to speak.
Sorry. Forgive me, Nora.
Sorry, this is my first time doing this. I appreciate what you said about the magnet program because as a student that has gone through it, I have felt that in a very harsh way. I actually went to a private school, my pre-K, and then I went to first and second in a different school, and then I had to go all the way across town. It was chaos, but I ended up better because of it. Whoever, I believe it was Mr. Stenerson that mentioned the school safety and security assistance, I completely support that in a very, very sincere way. I went to North High prior to going to Tech High, and a lot of kids formed a bond with the school safety assistants that may not have been present prior. I believe that school safety is an incredible concern of our nation. As we saw on the same day that Charlie Kirk was shot, there was another school shooting in Colorado. There is death by gun violence everywhere in our nation, and I believe that us as a community should protect ourselves against it, even if it is a partisan issue, like what Ms. McCusker said, where like some people were celebrating and some people were mourning. I believe that everyone should be mourning the loss of someone due to gun violence, and I believe that it's not an issue until we all realize it's an issue. And then the Williamsport High School students, thank you for mentioning that. I know a lot of students that go to Williamsport. I didn't see as much feedback from the survey, but it is definitely such a shocking change that I'm not alarmed that we're all trying to rush to find a solution. But thank you for mentioning that and bringing voice to everyone and all the students as well. Students should be the focus of what we're doing, and I believe that that is the root of why I'm here today. Thank you guys. I'm sorry again for the confusion.
I think that's the first time a board member has gotten applause from the audience. Way to go, Nora.
Yeah.
Moving right along, we're going to old business, which is the approval of the award of construction contract for the Downsville Pike Elementary School, not necessarily its name.
Correct. Good evening, Dr. Zentmeyer, members of the board, Dr. Savine. The matter before you under old business is relative to your award at the previous business meeting for the construction contract for Downsville Pike Elementary School. Subsequently to that award, the superintendent's office received an objection to the award from one of the bidders. As members of the procurement review committee and with outside counsel, Mr. Bakedale and I reviewed that objection in its totality and provided a recommendation to the superintendent. Superintendent concurred with that recommendation, and as such this evening, we're asking you to rescind the contract award to San Jose Construction and re-award that construction contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. And you have two motions on your cover sheet.
Do I have a motion?
President Zentmeyer, I move to rescind Board of Education's August 19, 2025 award of the contract for the construction of the Downsville Pike Elementary School, bid number 2026-01, to San Jose Construction Group, Inc., in the amount of $37,445,005.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. McCusker had her hand up first. Any discussion?
Do we have any details that we'd like to talk about on that as to the reason for the recommendation?
I think because San Jose has an opportunity to protest that bid, it would be premature to announce anything publicly.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments? We'll move to the vote. All in favor? The motion carries.
And Dr. Zentmeyer, I move to award a contract for a construction of the Downsville Pike Elementary School, bid number 2026-01, to Waynesboro Construction Company, Inc., in the amount of $37,752,260.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion, questions? We'll move to the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Student concurs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Which brings us to new business and the consent agenda. Do we have it up on the screen? Thank you.
Good evening, President Zentmeyer, excuse me, members of the board, Dr. Sovine. Tonight I have 6 items for your review. Each of these items were reviewed by our Purchasing Review Committee and are being recommended for approval, and staff is available if you have any additional questions.
I'm still looking. Do I have a motion?
Dr. Zentmeyer, move to award the bids and procurements as presented in today's packet. I don't see the motion, so I made that up.
It's on the second page.
Consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions? Mr. Bacon?
You give us a summary of number 1, health and wellness, the weight management program, please.
So that is a program that was put in place as a alternative to the GLP-1s that the insurance was covering. That those are no longer covered under our insurance plan, and this was put into place as a alternative for those folks who may be looking to lose weight or just trying to get a healthier lifestyle with that program.
Any other questions?
Yeah, can we get a little bit of an explanation on what is being purchased for this Microsoft contract?
For that, I think I saw.
Yep.
Yep. Mr. Allen will be up for that. He'll give you a better explanation than I will.
Good evening, President Zentmeyer, members of the board, and he's missing. So, the Microsoft contract is a support contract that we have been had for several years. It supports the IT department with Microsoft engineers if things go wrong, when they go wrong. They help us with critical systems failures occasionally. They're available in 15 minutes or less, so it's that level of support. We also get some training from them. They evaluate our systems, health, performance, security. So that's what it does.
We're not purchasing any physical equipment or hardware. This is all software stuff, right?
This is not even software. This is support.
Support. Okay.
Support of the software that we already have.
Okay.
Any other questions? Let's move to the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? One opposed. Did you student concur? And back to Mr. Prue.
Great, you're stuck with me for the next few items.
A few? I'm going to hold you to that.
All right, you hold it to me. A few might, I don't know, it's 3 or 4. The next item in front of you is the FY27 budget priorities. This is an item to approve priorities to help guide the superintendent in the drafting of the draft FY27 general fund budget. Board members may recall that we had a work session on this topic just 2 weeks ago. It is staff's indication that the board reached consensus to continue with the strategic plan priorities as the budget priorities in the order as found in the motion on the attached cover sheet.
Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the fiscal year 2027 budget priorities in the order of: first, culture, safety, and wellness; second, student success; third, access and opportunity; and fourth, community engagement, as discussed during the September 2nd work session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions about this besides what we asked at the work session? All right, we'll move to the vote. All those in favor? Unanimous. Student concurs.
Thank you.
Which brings us, oh, look at that. I think that we're back with Mr. Prue again.
Mr. Prue, I'm changing a cast of
Or
characters
six.
to my left from Mr. Sisler to Mr. Rollins. The next item in front of you is the state and local capital improvement program, what we call the CIP, for fiscal years 2027 through 2032. As a basis, just as a reminder for board members, we develop a plan in the CIP that aligns with the 2025 Educational Facilities Master Plan. So the plan source, again, outlines what our needs are. The capital plan is the request of the funding for the projects that are outlined in the EFMP. We request continued construction funding in this plan for the Downsville Pike Elementary School, to be named later. We request state and local planning approval and local construction funding for the Jonathan Hager Elementary School addition, the Phase 2 project of that, which will add an additional 2 rounds plus additional pre-K spaces to that school. We continue to address the systemic renovation needs that we have across the system, and we identify future large capital projects to address educational needs, efficiency, aging facilities, and of course, our operating costs as well. As we look at our assumptions and how this plan is based, we continue to utilize the Built to Learn Act funding for the construction of the Downsville Pike Elementary School. As a reminder, that's a little more than $19 million towards that project. The cost estimates for new construction utilize the state mandated cost per square foot of $431 per square foot. You can see in the last year that was $416. We follow, of course, state guidelines and procedures outlined in COMAR and by the Interagency Commission on School Construction. And estimated budgets are in today's dollars and do not reflect inflation, so we adjust that pricing as we move forward due to market conditions and what we see. And to actually develop the plan, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Rollins.
On the screen now are the 5 projects that were identified in the this year's Educational Facility Master Plan to be requested, have funding requested for in the CIP. So based on that request, the state funding requests for the capital improvement program total around $28 million. $8 million of that coming from the Built to Learn Act funding, and $20 million of that coming from FY27 state capital improvement program funds. The local funding request is about $9.7 million. That brings the total request this year to about $38 million. Facility committee members may note that the local costs are reduced from what was presented at the facility committee meeting, which I'll detail later and in the presentation. Also note that the state CIP request at $20 million is a higher number than what would normally be received in a year, and the school system might not receive all of that money. Nevertheless, we request these higher amounts for a couple of reasons. Most importantly, we want to make sure that we're stating the needs of the school system regardless of cost. And also, the state sometimes has the ability late in the budget cycle to appropriate more funding, and having projects in the queue makes it easier for WCPS to get that funding later on. We were pleased with the bid results for Downsville Pike Elementary School that were lower than estimated. So coupling these bid results with the state increasing its participation in eligible construction cost to 88% due to concentration of poverty and age of replacement factors, the state participation has increased by around $800,000 on this project. Even though the cost is lower, state participation is up. Local funding needs are decreased by almost $4 million, or right at $4 million, and this is a welcome adjustment for our local taxpayers. So looking at the full funding for the Downsville Pike project, we're in year 2 of funding requests for the project, and you can see the lower funding needs reflected in the FY27 request. The overall cost of the project has been lowered from around $51 million to $48 million, so that's great.
We actually met with the IAC just a couple of weeks ago, and we gloated a little bit and kind of said, see, it can be done. When everyone statewide is saying it can't be done for the budget costs, we came in under, so we were pretty ecstatic.
You know, I always knock on wood when we talk about that, because I think there's a bit of luck involved as well as skill, so hopefully we continue along those lines. For the Jonathan Hager project, we're requesting startup funding, which is the whole project is estimated to cost around $26 million. The FY27 request takes advantage of the state allowing CIP funding to be used for design and the cost of leasing needed portable classrooms.
and this lowers local funding needs. So again, on this project, we're able to reduce local funding and get increased state funding. In order to move forward with this project, we may need forward funding from the Board of Education on a cash flow basis for the cost of hiring the design team early next year. This funding will be reimbursed to the board once CIP allocations become available. If funding approvals for state and local government are not forthcoming as we move through the approval process, the design of the project can be suspended and then restarted when project funding is allocated in future fiscal years. So we're trying to get it going, but also we have protections within the contract. We can suspend the work and move forward when the funding actually comes. We think it's important to get it going as we move forward. Slide 5 is, the next slide is the systemic project funding requests, capital maintenance projects. Beyond the 2 boiler and 1 HVAC replacements requested this year, the plan seeks funding for 3 roof replacements, a chiller replacement, and 2 HVAC replacements in the coming years. These projects altogether are estimated to cost around $37 million. Future large capital projects in the plan include the Clear Spring Middle High replacement at about $153 million, and funding requests spread over fiscal years 28 through 33, as well as replacement elementary school number 2 at a cost of $53.5 million in today's dollars in fiscal years 2030 through 2034. Finally, this is a snapshot of the amount of requests through all of the 6 years that we're looking at in this plan. So the total requests total up at $274 million. You can see how the level of funding requests increase in FY30 and 32, which reflects the cost of the middle high school project. We recognize this is a heavy lift, but as we stated during the EF&P discussions, it's important to ask for what's needed and then adjust the plan moving forward based on actual funding outcomes. With that, if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
You want to do a motion first, or you want to do questions first?
Oh, yeah, I guess we do
Do
the
you have a
motion first.
motion?
I motion to approve the state and local FY 2027 capital improvement program plan.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Now your question.
Thank you. And I don't know if this is off topic, so if it is, please feel free to cut me off here. It's definitely towing the line of being on topic. So looking at the FIAC committee's recommendations that we put off to another day, part of that plan was to move students from, and correct me if I'm incorrect, part of that plan was to move students from Salem to Hager, or move part of that attendance zone from Salem to Hager. And it looked to me like we were going to move those students before that requested construction was done. If that's the case, how are we going to house those students? Because we're going to be way overbooked at Hager if we do that. So how is that going to look?
That's part of the portable classroom request as temporary housing as those students get there in the fall of 27 until the renovation is ready and completed in the fall of 28. So in our discussions with the IAC, a leased portable program can be covered by the state, so it reduces our local costs. I know during
I'm
the
sorry,
EFMP.
say that again, I missed that.
If we lease the portables,
Okay.
the cost of the leasing of those portables will be covered by the state, so we don't have to get into local dollars. That was part of the discussion I think we had back in June as we were talking about the EFMP about whether we potentially could purchase the portables, have some new ones that we could then refresh the cycle of portables we have in the rest of the county. We are now leaning more with this funding request on leasing them where the state will pick up that cost as opposed to having that be on local cost. There's a couple of things sort of getting ahead of the FIAC presentation, should that become a final recommendation from the committee. There's a couple of things the board and the superintendent could do as they look at those recommendations. You could leave them as is, knowing that we're already planning for some portables. We would plan portable classrooms to house those students pending the final construction. You could also potentially defer that particular recommendation to the fall of 28 and stagger your recommendations. The challenge to that is Salem is overcrowded and Kilpatrick Woods, which is the development directly across the street from Salem, between Salem and Marshall Street, is active, is generating houses, and will generate students. So Salem Avenue is going to be more overcrowded, which is why staff in discussions with the FIAC have led to the recommendation of moving those students in 27, even though they will be housed a year in portable classrooms. There is no space at Salem. Salem is full. We have 4 portables already on that site and no space to put more based on the layout of that property. So I hope that answers the question and gives you some groundwork of why that recommendation is where it is at this point.
And then one other question, if they're gonna essentially, I guess, I assume reimburse us for that lease, I'm not exactly sure, so those portables do have plumbing inside them so that, you know, they could use the restroom, go to the water fountain, whatever. Would that be permanent, that could then be used going around the school as part of the new construction? Would that be in a completely separate site and we would essentially waste that money?
No, they would cover the connections.
Oh, they do all of that?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I understood that correctly.
I believe that's correct.
Yes.
It's still fluid. We're working with the state and trying to figure out exactly what they'll cover and what they won't cover. And of course, we'll report that back to the board as we move forward.
Is there a chance that we could get funding approved to be done for 2027?
Well,
I think the greater challenge is that we haven't hired an architect yet. So you've got to go through that architect, we've got to go through the procurement of the architect. We need a feasibility study, we need to adjust, not necessarily feasibility study, but we have to revise an ed spec for the addition once the architect comes on board. Funding at earliest would be available in July, both from the state and local. And, you know, July 26, I mean, even if you broke ground in the fall of 26, I'm not sure you'd have that addition ready in the fall of 27.
Okay.
I mean, I don't particularly know the length of time it would take to build that addition, but it is sizable. It's 18 months for the new school out here. You know, there's a private school I drive past every day. They did a very small addition with a gymnasium, and I feel like they've been in construction 16 months. And I would drive by every day shaking my head going, why isn't this done yet? When I think that we're going to build a school, particularly a whole school in 18 months. I think to do the addition in 12 months or less, I think would be really tight. I don't think we could be open on time. And we will need some portables because we'll have some students that will be, let's say, on the edge of the wing where the new wing is coming off of that will have to relocate out of that space just for their educational purposes.
And those utility connection points, if we don't use them as part of the new design because of the location of the portables, we can certainly leave them in the ground and protect them so that if we needed portables in the future, once we move them off of that site, we'd have a connection there all ready to go. Okay. So we do that too.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Let's move to the vote. All in favor? Unanimous, student concurs. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Which brings us to the approval of advertising rates for Smithburg High School. Oh, guess what? It's Mr. Brook.
I think this is my last one. As a reminder, in September of 2024, the board approved an MOU for advertising rights with the Smithsburg Athletic Booster Club. They have since coordinated with a handful of businesses in the Smithsburg area that are interested in providing funding to the Booster Club to support our students in exchange for an advertising banner either in the stadium or by the tennis courts. Those are listed on the attachment for you. Of course, the blue font names are approvals that have already been provided by the Board of Ed, and the red approvals are the new ones for you this evening.
Do I have a motion?
President Zentmeyer, I move to approve the assignment of advertising rights as requested by the Smithsburg High School Athletic Booster Club.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Yeah, I'll have any questions? Except a giant thank you. All right, we'll move to the vote. All in favor? Unanimous, student concurs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Which brings us to donation of tables, picnic tables. Okay, Dr. Palmer.
Good evening, Dr. Zentmeyer, Dr. Savine, members of the board. I am seeking approval for 4 picnic tables from Paramount PTA to Paramount Elementary School, valued at $5,858.33 to be used for outdoor learning space.
Do I have a motion?
I move to approve a donation of 4 picnic tables valued at $5,868.33 from the Paramount PTA.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Any questions? Go ahead, Charlie.
No, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you're getting ready to vote.
I'm ready.
I was just going to say that it's great to see we still have active PTAs like that, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yay for them. All right, we'll move to the vote. All in favor? Unanimous, student concurs. Thank you very much. Oh, is there more? Yes, there is. You're going to take Mr. Prue's place. Go ahead.
I am seeking approval for a $20,000 donation from Landon's Puzzle Pieces to support the purchase of sensory and motor room items for the enhanced programs at Funkstown.
Thank you. Do I have an motion?
Dr. Zentmeyer, move to approve donation of $20,000 from Landon's Puzzle Pieces for the enhanced programs at Funkstown.
And I need a second. Second. Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Palmer? Okay, move to the vote. All in favor? That's unanimous. Student concurs. Thank you so much. Which brings us to personnel actions. Dr. Willow?
Good evening. I'm here to ask your approval for personnel actions we discussed earlier in closed session.
Do I have a motion?
Dr. Zentmeyer, I move to approve the staff changes as discussed in today's closed session.
Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we will now finish the superintendent's update.
Thank you, President Zentmeyer. It's a priority of this board and the superintendent to close student achievement gaps. This summer, we added opportunities for student support in our schools, thanks to an initiative of this board. At this time, I'm going to ask Dan Fowler, our supervisor of school management, to give us a look at some of the outcomes from this initiative. Mr. Fowler.
Good evening, President Zentmeyer, Dr. Savine, members of the board. What I'd like to walk you through tonight is our summer learning program from the 25 summer that just ended a little bit over a month ago. What our intentions were and what we shared with you back in June during a work session regarding elementary and middle school and high school programming and some of the outcomes that came out of our summer school program. So as previously shared, we had all 25 elementaries. We had planned for all 25 elementary schools located at 16 sites during the month of July. At each site, we provided transportation to that site, as well as breakfast and lunch. We also provided instruction in both English language arts and math. For each site, we budgeted $170,000 with about $85,000 in transportation costs. For evaluation in elementary schools, we used pre- and post-assessment in mathematics, and we used the end of the year DIBELS and CAPTI English Language Arts Assessment that we're going to measure the growth at the beginning of the year, or the achievement at the beginning of the year this year, which we're currently in the assessment window. Our target audience was about 10% of our elementary school students entering grades K through 5 who have identified gaps in English language arts and math. Students would receive 70 minutes in both subject areas, math and ELA. The groupings of students will be based on grade levels. In most cases, what we tried to do is we tried to get as many students involved or as many students enrolled so that we could have those grade level groups. A few schools, we had to kind of mix grade levels, but I would say most of the schools, we were able to have those grade level groups, which is some of the reason why we combined some of the sites with our smaller schools. We wanted to keep about a 12-to-1 ratio. So our outcomes For staffing, we ended up spending $111,631.52 from that original budgeted amount of $170,000. Community school money was used in some of our community schools to fund those programs. We enrolled 1,009 students. And of that 1,009 students, kindergarten through fifth grade, 74.35% of those students attended regularly. For kindergarten through second grade, our outcomes in mathematics, 62%, a little over 62% of the students increased their score from the pre-assessment taken during the first week to the post-assessment the last week of summer school. And the average growth on those in pre-K to 2 in our primary ages was a little over 11%. In 3 through 5, 64%, a little over, almost 65% of our students increased their score, and a little bit more, over 11%, 11.14%, increased their score, or was an average increase of 11.4% from pre-assessment to post-assessment. Overall, K to 5, 63.61% of students increased their score with an average growth of 11.1%. In English language arts, we are, like I had mentioned earlier, we're right in the middle of our testing window. I think our testing window for CAPTI and DIBELS ends October 3rd, so we should know more in our growth for English language arts once that window closes. I want to move on to middle school. Our target audience for middle school was 200 students who also had that identified gap in English language arts and math. Students were to receive 90 minutes of instruction in both subject areas. The grouping of students would obviously be based on grade level. We would keep them with their cohort of rising 6th grade, rising 7th grade, and rising 8th grade students. And we also tried to keep that ratio 12-1 as well. That program was not site-based. It was regionalized to the Innovative Learning Center. The entire month of July, from the 7th to the 31st, we provided breakfast and lunch, as well as transportation. We budgeted $70,000, and just like elementary school, we utilized pre- and post-assessments for math, and we are going to use CAPTI assessments from the end of the year last year to the beginning of the year this year, and just like elementary school, we are currently still in the testing window for ELA. Of that amount, of that $70,000 that we had budgeted, we used $66,270.88. We were able to enroll 129 students, and in middle school, we had a little bit better of an attendance rate at 87.06%. The reason why I think that we're a little bit down in middle school with our target number was because the students that we originally enrolled did not end up coming, and we had to send some wait-listed invites. So that helped our attendance because the students that were there really wanted to be there and were there and attended regularly. For math, we saw in 6th grade that the average growth from pre-assessment to post-assessment was about 35.5%. In 7th grade, it was 46.5%, and in 8th grade, it was 26.2%. And like mentioned previously in ELA, it's to be determined because we're still in that testing window, which ends on October 3rd. High school, we held our high school program at South Hagerstown High School. We originally planned for 7 original credit courses with repeat credit in 17 courses. That ran the entire school day, where we had original credit running a full school day. If you were enrolled in original credit class, you attended that class for the whole day. If you were enrolled in repeat credit classes, you can enroll up to 2 classes for the summer term, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. Those classes ran for about 2 hours and 45 minutes each. They could have earned either 1 original credit. You could, like I said, you could roll with 1 original credit or 2 repeat credits, and we also offered MCAP testing during that summer session as well. We provided breakfast and lunch for every student. We provided transportation. combined with the middle school with hub stops that went directly to South High. We budgeted $300,000, and our evaluation would be the number of credits attempted versus the number of credits earned from the students who were enrolled. So our outcomes, we spent $251,939.91 from the general fund. We had 469 high school students enrolled, and we had a 93.78 attendance rate. For original credit courses, we attempted 90, so students cumulatively attempted 90 original credits. Of those 90 credits, 86 of them were completed. For repeat credit courses, we cumulatively, for students enrolled, attempted 379 with 336 completed. And overall, we did have a graduation ceremony where 27 students successfully completed their graduation requirements, and we held a ceremony the last day of summer school on July 31st. For transportation, it was a little bit, I know we had budgeted, we tried to think about how to budget them for each level, but bus routes and summertime with limited drivers and limited access and trying to combine different locations, it was a little bit hard to pinpoint exactly how much we used per each level, but overall, we had budgeted $235,000 and used $197,555.53.
Do you have any questions?
Did we expand the summer school program? Did we give additional money for that? Is that what you were? And did you think, based on all that, I know how I'm looking at it, but did you think it was a success? Something we should do again?
So I think that question, I think the answer to that is a little bit twofold. I think for the students that attended regularly, I think we saw very positive results from. We were able to give kids structure. We were able to give kids food during the summer months. We also saw some achievement academically. What the hope of summer school really is to provide opportunities to close gaps in learning. And part of our curriculum team, and they did a fantastic job, Dr. Willow's team did a fantastic job developing curriculum because we used the high quality curriculum resources that we used during the school year to really provide students the most critical prerequisite skills to the grade level coming up, most specifically the first marking period. So what will be really telling is if the instruction carried over into the school year. So I think looking at the ELA assessments that we're taking right now, looking at the interim assessments that we'll take in the middle of the marking period for each content area, I think that's going to be really telling. But in short term, with the results, especially that we had in math, I think for the students that attended regularly, I think we saw some success.
And you came in under budget.
And we came in under budget.
Is there a way that you actually track those students who did attend summer school so that you're seeing them specifically?
Yes, so we specifically have a file of enrolled students from summer school that our testing department is making sure that schools are assessing in middle school, whether or not they're above or below level into this fall so that we can compare where they were at the end of last year to the beginning of this year and as they move forward.
Will we be able to know what you find with that?
Yeah, I can certainly get with our testing department and Dr. Will and Dr. Devine to provide those results.
So the successes and lack thereof really point out that we need to target attendance, that some of the gains were influenced by the lower attendance rates?
I think that's during summertime, and I think that's during the regular school year, too. I think students in front of teachers and our high-quality teachers are going to have the best advantage to have the most opportunity for academic success and achievement. It's no different in summertime. I think, as you can see in high school, our kids that needed to be there and wanted to be there were successful in earning credit.
That's pretty evident from your data. Thank you.
Same thing with middle school and elementary for that matter.
Mr. Evans?
Yeah, I guess some people say analyzing data, analyzing the results of operations like this is the most important part of any operation, because oftentimes you plan on doing it again and you want to figure out what you can and can't do better. Just kind of looking, before I get into that, looking at some of these attendance rates, especially at that elementary school level where I think, I forget off the top of my head what it was, like 63% about, that seems to be really low when a parent needs to intentionally go and enroll their child into that summer school program for them to not send the kid. Am I looking at that right? Is that a fair observation?
I think it's fair. I think it's also, we also have students that we really want to be there. And you have, when you think about some of our middle-sized schools, not our big schools. Our big schools, especially our community schools, were able to invite more people, and because they weren't using that money, they were using their community school funding to hire more staff, hire more people, really have that community outreach. I think about our middle-sized school and even our smaller schools, to where they really had that 10% population that they wanted to be there. They felt like they really needed, even if we could get them for a week, that's better than to not bring them over the summertime as well. I think they really they took that to heart in targeting those students. We also have to remember families have vacations, and when you're talking about 16 days and you miss 4 of them, that's a 75% attendance rate. So I think there's a lot of variables, but I do think with the budget that we had and the direction that we went in terms of how we wanted to address the needs and close the gaps, we really targeted the students that needed to be there as well as wanted to be there. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. I appreciate that. And then looking at, these math scores, am I reading this right? So like in the middle school, we say 6th grade, 35.5% growth, average growth from pre-assessment to post-assessment. So what you're saying is if the average pre-assessment grade was a 35%, that these kids are now on average at 70% on their scores.
So in middle school, they had 4 weeks of instruction, and each week essentially was kind of I don't want to say a unit, but for example, 6th grade. 6th grade had 4 pre and post assessments for what they were teaching.
Okay.
So if I'm a student, maybe my average growth on each one was about 35%. So if I scored a 40% on a pre-assessment and I grew 35% at the end of that, 70 couple percent is maybe what my post-assessment score was. So that growth in between, and the average, I guess, of each one of those. I think 7th grade had 4.
46.5%.
Yeah, and I think they had 4 assessments that they gave pre and post. And I think 8th grade had 3. So it was the average of all of those together. Kind of hard to track when you have that many different units of skills that we're trying to teach students.
Because, I'm just thinking, so if I'm reading that right, let's just say every student came in, with a 30%, then each of them are, going to be at least average, if not above average or superior by the time they get into that next grade level. Is that essentially what they're saying?
So maybe for the skills that they were assessed during that time period. So what the curriculum team did is they really looked at, in middle school, and I'm just speaking about middle school.
Yeah.
They looked at some of those pre-algebra type of skills to prepare students for the upcoming grade level. So I'm not talking about a huge unit. I'm not talking about our daily instruction that we're giving right now, but some of those small skills that would benefit them leading up to August 25th when they started school. So coming in, maybe they didn't, the scores weren't, or the achievement or what they knew wasn't quite what it was when they left, based on what that pre and post assessment is. But Superior as a whole, I still think we have some gaps to close. But I do think that the students that attended regularly and received that instruction, it shows that they gained something in terms of those skills leading into those grade levels.
Right, because I'm just trying to understand what the summer math assessment means. So it almost sounds like you're essentially assessing them on their ability to get these prerequisite skills that may or may not be stuff that they would really be tested on in the next grade level, but there's stuff that it's knowledge that they need to have to be able to be successful.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, really, the last question I'll ask, kind of getting back to the beginning of what I was saying, what would you change if we were to say, all right, we're going to do the same thing and offer the same funding next year? What would you change?
So in high school, we got a pretty good thing going in high school. This is the second year that we tried doing it. And we, made a couple of tweaks, and we, offered some courses that we didn't the year before. But I think with what we've done, I think we kind of replicated the year prior with a couple of tweaks, and it's been successful. I would say with elementary and middle, if we would do it again, time would be one. We threw a lot together real quick. I think when we got approval to go forward in April, we got a group of principals together, we got the curriculum team together. What's the best thing that we can do in the amount of time that we have to plan would be one thing to really think about and consider is the time to plan. And really not just the curriculum itself, because I think that was solid, but the outreach and the targeting of our students so that we can be able to communicate to our stakeholders what it is that we desire to do with that summer programming and what our expectations are in terms of students attending.
Well, I'll finish my little line of questioning with this, is that I, as a board member, would appreciate it if, because I know we did really throw that on you guys in the last possible second pretty much this year, so we appreciate the hard work you guys put into that. I, personally, as one board member speaking, would like, as we're going through the budget process, if that is something that you felt maybe wasn't as successful as you would like it to be, but think it can be, maybe kind of put together a plan so that we can see it to make sure that it's something that we would want to approve, and kind of, at least at this point, we kind of give you an opportunity to have more input for what it would look like before we go and just tell you to go and make it happen with a month to go before school gets out,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Fowler, before you leave, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for your leadership on the summer school implementation, but what you do every day to partner with parents, to listen to concerns, and then work with parents and our school leaders to reconnect them in partnership to resolve issues. So thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks from all of us, too.
For our next presentation this evening, as I mentioned earlier, our Williamsport High School community has really come together to face a significant challenge. This summer, there was a release of asbestos in the school associated with some construction work, and as a result, the school facility is closed. However, students are engaged in learning through online classroom learning experiences, and I would like to now provide an update to the board as well as the community on the remediation efforts that are underway and the progress are being made regarding the existing facility at Williamsport High School, and share more about the incredible work that our staff, what they're doing to keep students connected during this school closure. Dr. Willow, Mr. Prue, and Scott Knoll, principal of Williamsport High School, are joining us to provide this update.
Thank you, Dr. Spine. Good evening again, board members. I think I'm going to kick this off with a little bit to kind of give you the background on really the scope of the work of what the facilities team has undertaken. I was sitting in the back of the room and kind of looking at the calendar. I'm going, we're just slightly a few days over 9 weeks from when we realized the situation we had at Williamsport High. And I think back on the amount of work that's been done in those 9 weeks is a credit to the team that's been doing that work, and I wouldn't be able to get through this, I think, without our facilities team digging in every day, the long hours they're putting in to continue to have a process moving forward. And of course, Scott and his team, Gary and the content team, really have been fantastic through all of this. So to kind of talk a little bit about where we are at this point, now when I think about those 9 weeks, I think about, we really had a really lengthy investigative process that we had to go through to determine what was the root cause, how could we have mitigated this problem. There's a lot that has to go into that because there's just, as you know, board members, from conversations we've had, there's a lot there, right? And a lot of opportunities and a lot of possibilities. So we had to really spend the right amount of time on the upfront to be sure of what we had and the process of the steps moving forward. We are working specifically with Boggs Environmental Consultants. They are an industrial hygienist firm, and they are the ones who have developed our cleaning protocols of how we're going to clean and restore this building and have it ready to be used again by our community. What you can see are really the steps that we're going through under the guidelines of that certified industrial hygienist, what I'll just simply refer to as the IH. We've removed the asbestos-containing materials, the items that have caused the debris to be throughout the building. We've constructed isolation barriers. We have constructed at least the first of what will be several of 5 stage decontamination kits. I'm going to talk a little bit about what is involved in those decontamination units. But we have to clean the contents of the entire building. And when we think about what it looks like to clean the contents of an entire school building, this is a building of 153,000 square feet. 50, 60, 70 classrooms, the amounts, they think about all the volumes of books that, let's say, are in a school library, all the items that are needed for arts and sciences and fine arts and athletics, all of those things have to come out and be cleaned through the decontamination process. We then also, of course, have to clean the building itself, including the ductwork, which is an extensive process. Very few people actually do that work, so we're in the process of procuring those services right now, and of course have to clean from plenum, the roof structure down through the building, and of course it's a multi-story building. And then a final cleaning, and all of this with certified testing, wipe sampling of products as they're being cleaned to make sure that they are asbestos-free, and as well as then air sampling to make sure that the air is not containing asbestos-containing materials. With all of that said, we also have easily 4 to 6 weeks of construction work that needs to continue. As you know, we were in the middle of our heating ventilation, the final phase of the heating ventilation and air conditioning replacement in that school. At current, there are no air handlers and there are no boilers. So at this point, there is no heating and air conditioning in that building. All of that has to be restored before the building can be returned. We had some tile replacements going on, floor tile replacements going on. We had an active modification going on in the kitchen, and we had started an electrical distribution replacement project this summer. And all of that is currently on hold until we can restore the building for all of those construction teams to return. And of course then, we're cleaning everything. To clean everything, it has to come out, and then we've got to move it all back in, get it back in, and our teachers will then be able to set up their classrooms. What you see on the screen now are the 5 stages of the decontamination process. It's what we call direct airstream, HEPA vacuum, wet wiping, receiving, and then the last phase is the quality assurance, quality testing, quality control process to ensure that everything is safe. And I'll walk these through with you one at a time. The photo that you see there on the right side of the screen is what we just simply call the decon unit. That is a unit set up with scaffolding and 6 mil plastic that is all taped together to ensure that you don't have releases from inside that unit to the outside of the unit, and that's where the cleaning processes are taking place. This particular one is for the lower level of the building. It's actually set up in the gymnasium. So during the direct airstream process, items are either shaken and or blown out to remove the air. So, the jacket here is actually something that might be worn at an evening event, at someone that's assisting with security services. You can see actually, if you've ever watched an article of clothing in like a dry cleaner where they sort of get through the pressing process, and they put like say a jacket over a blower and it blows it all up. It's exactly what's going here, and it's kind of blowing and kind of the action of the blow and the inflation sheds fibers off of that item into the surrounding decon unit. Items are then HEPA vacuumed, again, to capture forcibly through that sucking motion of the HEPA vacuum to capture any of those fibers that are stuck on those items. In this particular photo, you can see a staff member from Retro Environmental is the firm that's actually conducting the cleaning, running the HEPA vacuum over a number of uniforms. We were happy to report that all of our athletes were in their traditional uniforms for their first contest, and that was, little benchmarks along the way that we're trying to meet to keep life as normal as possible as we can for our students. Wet wiping is as simple as it is. Think of, almost like a Clorox wipe, something very similar to that. So you're wiping all of the items as well to make sure that you're getting any stuck-on fibers released off those items. And this is the final stage of the cleaning process. And then we go through a receiving process. In that receiving process, every item is then subsequently inspected to make sure that it appears to be free of any dust particles before it moves on to the quality assurance and control testing, which really is randomly sampling items as they're coming out of the building for testing. We're doing wipe sample testing on here to running wipes basically back over the items, sending those off to a lab to be tested to ensure that they are correct. As items are coming out in the containers, they're being boxed. They're being stored in C containers. So think about a process. Any items that were cleaned today will be stored in that C container, waiting for the test results to come back on those items. If the test results come back clean, those palletized boxes are loaded on the back of a tractor trailer, which is then, once it's full, it's picked up and it's taken to a warehouse facility where it's offloaded for storage until we can return it back to the building. If the test results do not come back clean on those items, all those items are unboxed and put back through the decon to ensure that it's done. The key to this is, we can't move too quickly. We've got to make sure, otherwise we're doing items 2 and 3 times again. There's a lynch point of how many people is too many people, and the IH controls that flow with Retro to determine, I need this number of people to do this task, and that's how we're going to flow through things. So to date, we've had approximately 30 people working on the site. That ebbs and flows a little bit. But as we think again about this ongoing process, again, ACM debris has been removed from the building. Priority items needed for things like athletics, special ed, fine arts, band, marching band, all of those items reached a priority level that we removed first so they could get back in the hands of our students so that they could have their high school life and with the services and equipment that they needed to perform. All ceiling tiles I want to say they've all been removed, but that's not exactly. Items, some of the ceiling tiles, for instance, that are around sprinkler heads or smoke detectors, some of those are still in place because they have to be carefully done. We need to take the fire alarm system into test mode to do that so we don't inadvertently set off the fire alarm system and set off the sprinkler system. So but anything that's not attached to anything has already been removed from the building. Ceiling tiles are a non-porous item that cannot be cleaned. So all of those will have to be restored throughout the building before we move in. At this point, and we had a progress meeting this morning, the lower level gym, locker rooms, athletic storage areas have all been emptied of items. And our goal this week, if we don't make it end of this week, potentially Monday of next week, is we will have removed and cleaned every item from the lower level of the building, classroom wing, all the way back to the gym. Everything will be out of the building, with the exception of some of the shops where there's still some construction equipment in those areas. We're leaving those set aside at this point. As of this morning, 5 tractor trailer loads of product have left the building and are stored at an off-site location, and will continue to move. Next week, then, we'll actually tear down that decon unit, move to the upper level. We'll actually decon and send things out more out of the front of the building for storage. And we will begin the process of cleaning from roof deck or from floor deck above down through. We'll be doing that cleaning process in the lower level of the building. Actually looking at adding a few more staff members next week to get on that process. And I believe at some point when the items are removed from that section and Retro is just solely in a clean mode, they're going to add additional staff and potentially look at moving on 2 shifts at that point. The removal and cleaning of items is a more slow, meticulous process. The actual cleaning can move much faster, and so that's where we'll ebb and flow with the amount of people that we actually have on site. Again, construction work needs to resume. We cannot lose sight of that. It has to resume, and we're working on also getting those construction areas, things like the boiler room, the penthouses, cleaned so that workers can continue to return to those areas. Again, ceilings will all have to be restored throughout the building. All items need to be returned and set. I actually was in one of the sea containers today, student desks stacked up on a pallet, shrink wrapped, marked with the classroom number, so we know exactly where all those rooms came out of, so we can get them all restored to the right place, just pallet jacks running down hallways to get those items back to the right places. And of course, we'll need to provide time for our teaching staff to move back into their classrooms and reset their classrooms as well. And with that, I think I'll turn over to Mr. Knoll, who'll walk you through the educational components.
First, I'd just like to express some gratitude myself to Dr. Ashby and the USMH staff. They've been so welcoming and so accommodating. I also want to thank Dr. Savine, Dr. Willow, Dr. Wilcox, Mr. Prue, and all the CES staff that have really been supportive and there to help. And most importantly, I want to thank my WHS admin team, teachers, and staff. They've really pulled together in a real challenging time, and I couldn't be prouder of a group of people. So what we're looking at here is our daily schedule. We're on an AB day schedule. Our classes are 60 minutes long. After regular classes, we have our built-in enrichment and support block. This time is really flexible. It's used for tutoring, enrichment activities, student organizations, athletics, and our performing arts. All of our classes themselves are taught through Google Meet, while all assignments and resources are organized in Google Classroom for consistency. Currently, we have 62 students attending in person. This allows us to provide strong support and keep engagement high with those students. Outside of the classroom, we've made sure students have plenty of opportunities to stay engaged and connected. Student material pickup is 2 to 3 times a week. We usually coordinate that with our athletic schedule. It really has helped encourage students to come and be a part of the school by doing that, and has allowed us to get those materials out quickly. We've built several big events early in the year. We just had our first football game. WHS students were allowed to enter for free, and we beat Smithsburg, which is awesome. Last night we had our stadium movie night. Around 300 students attended. Went really well. Our homecoming activities are a go. September 27th, the elementary school is available. We're going to have our pancake breakfast, our parade, and then culminate in the dance. And I'd like to thank Rhonda Smith for making her facility available to us. For seniors, you can see we've scheduled a senior breakfast at the Springfield Barn coming up, and we have some other senior-only events that we're still working on, but they're going to happen. Our community involvement has been really great. I can't be more pleased with how our community has come together. The KOA campground has a Williamsport night where our kids are going to have, on the 19th, to get a discounted entrance into their haunted house. We have a Halloween-themed bingo set up. We have a trivia night coming up. But beyond the events, we're bringing resources to our students. We set up a bookmobile. It's going to start on September 22nd, and it's going to be making stops at our community hubs so students can access books and other materials. I already touched on our enrichment block. Our clubs launched today. Transportation was provided to those students to go to Springfield so they can meet with their advisors and their coaches and everything in person. And Tuesdays and Thursdays, we also do provide the Twilight Bus, which is an opportunity for students to have transportation home at night. Again, our community is great. Cannon Coffee did a fundraiser for us, and so did River Bottom Roasters, where they've donated proceeds directly to the school and directly to our booster programs. We are a community school this year, so our Community School Advisory Committee, we meet monthly to discuss other engagement opportunities with our students, with our faculty, and our community at large. One of our biggest priorities when this happened was to make students feel that they were being heard and their voice mattered. So we emphasize student voice. And a couple of examples of that is we let them pick the movie night choice, which was 10 Things I Hate About You, or whatever that was. I've never watched it, but actually that's not true. I watched it because we put it on for the students. And they helped shape our homecoming themes and creativities. We were able to remove barriers for students by providing transportation so students can fully participate in our after-school clubs and activities. To keep families engaged, we use multiple lines of communications so information is clear, consistent, and accessible. We also have spirit-building events and fundraisers where we're strengthening community pride. One of these is the Crazy Spirit Contest that our SGA has come up with, which has already created excitement at our football games. I mean, you saw the whiteout. A student got an award for most spirited, and it really took off, and the community is coming together. To extend support beyond the school building, we've established our community hubs. This provides students the chance to work virtually, but in a setting with a shared space with their peers. We also have staff available for students for extra support, for some tutoring, guidance, and support there. And you can see the schedule that we have, and we're grateful for these community partners. Mondays, we're at Williamsport United Methodist Church. Wednesdays, McCleary Hill Community Center. And Thursdays, the Halfway Fire Company's Bingo Hall. And we're going to run this through December 18th and hopefully not have to extend it past that because we'll be back in our building. So that's what, in a real brief, that's what we got going on at Williamsport High.
So I'm going to take a little time, knowing that Dr. Savine shared earlier that we're going to put a pause on this survey, but I think it's still an opportunity to explain some of the intention here and some of the options that are out there. And so I'm going to take advantage of that. As you heard, I think it's important to note Mr. Prue and his team, Dr. Savine and others, we have not stopped looking at other locations. While we're grateful for the partnership with USMH, the goal has always been, is there a location that can house our students and our staff and have our students back in person, knowing that on top of that, Mr. Prue's team is working diligently to get the Williamsport building ready. Right, and so there's a couple things that I mentioned when I asked for approval of the plan 2 meetings ago. What makes this a little different is that the goal here all along has been to keep Williamsport students with Williamsport teachers. And the reason for that is because the intent is to reopen this building as soon as possible. And when you start switching teachers and you start switching classes and schedules, it makes it even harder to start the year with a Williamsport teacher, transition to another teacher, and then back to a Williamsport teacher. Grade books don't always quite match up that way. So our intention here is to continue to look for other places where we can experience in person. Challenge here obviously is that this is a large high school. It is our 3rd largest high school and our 3rd largest school in the county. And so we're looking for a spot that potentially can hold up to 1,000 people when we talk about staff. So the survey's intent here was to go to all of our students, our parents, who have thoughts and opinions, and to get staff feedback. There was never any intent to make any decisions tonight. In fact, I think when we look at our future agenda items, there's a work session topic that's dedicated to this topic coming up. But we thought it would be valuable to gather feedback. There's actually on the survey a last question, which is I would call option 3, if you will. Are there other things we haven't thought of, right? And so in terms of, are there other locations we haven't looked at, other possibilities? And so, again, we're open to all ideas. We want this to be a process where our stakeholders are involved, and we are thankful to board leadership for making this an agenda item at an upcoming work session where we can continue that conversation. So what was in the survey that will work with make sure our Williamsport staff is informed on is really option 1 is sort of the status quo. And keeping this virtual schedule. Perhaps there's still other suggestions and tweaks that will come back from the survey, but really option 1 is about keeping our status quo until the building is ready to be open. Option 2 is a complex one. If you can't have 900 students, another 70, 80 staff members, almost 1,000 people all in one location, what would it look like to potentially break up by grade level? And so what we're talking about with option 2 is this idea of using potentially up to 4 different places. And when you open, when the survey comes out, you're going to see high school names mentioned. Well, they're the easiest to go to in terms of we know we have space at 3 of our high schools that are not at capacity. But it really could be any location in terms of how we think about option 2. If we had to break up the grade levels, this is what that would mean. And so what I'm going to talk a little bit about is it's not a straightforward option. Our transportation is currently set up that we're set up to take students to Williamsport High School. And knowing that and busing our students to Williamsport High School, if we were then to take them to a different location, regardless of the location, you'd think about this: if 9 and 10 were going somewhere, 11 and 12 were going somewhere else. In theory, students would get off their normal bus at Williamsport High School and then have to catch another bus, because you're not sending them by neighborhood, which is what they're currently grouped as they go into to Williamsport. Now you're talking about reclassifying the bus routes to wherever you're taking them by grade level. And so anytime you're doing that, knowing that you can't run those buses any earlier because they're out doing routes for elementary and middle, you're looking at some type of extension onto the day to make up for that time you've lost in the morning. And so ideally, regardless of where we go, we're probably lost a period. And so when you see here this idea of school day extended, it's really taking into account till we get them to their new location, feed them breakfast. They're probably, well, the rest of the school is in period 2, Williamsport is probably starting period 1. And there is a need for additional time into the day if we look at other options under this current model. Again, nobody's proposing that. It's really just making sure that if we put something out, we want to be able to provide as much information to our stakeholders so that they're informed. And so that's one of the challenges, regardless of where we were to go, is this idea of what does that look like in terms of transporting them, especially if we're going to multiple locations. I think the key here also to keep in mind is that, again, we want the students to learn with their Williamsport High School teachers. And so when you get into a scenario here, in some cases, as you heard from earlier speakers, there might be some teachers that predominantly teach 1 grade. But when you have a teacher that teaches multiple grade levels, it becomes more challenging. So then you have to decide, where is the teacher going? And so on top of that, there could be scenarios where even when you do in person, the teacher is still teaching virtually from another location based on where the majority of their class periods are. And so again, one other challenge with that, when typically a high school teacher isn't across all 1 grade level, especially when you get into some of those elective courses, some of the CTE, the arts, the encores. And so the last bullet that I might spend some time on, there's no virtual option for most academic courses. It probably should just say high school courses. And so what I would say is, unlike in the past where there might be a choice, we don't have enough staffing to choose, well, family A wants to be virtual and family B wants to be in person. If we decide to go in person, it's almost all of our courses are going to be, meaning that you're going to have to choose to be in person, right? And so there might be a few classes through Connected or Extended that a student might be able to take. But under that model of splitting by grade level, by different locations, there's no way our staff could, in theory, teach students in person and then do those that chose to stay home in a virtual environment. So I do want to echo Dr. Savine's remarks, and if we missed the mark on this, the intent was really to gather more stakeholder feedback and then come back here and discuss at a work session. There was never any intent to make any decisions tonight, and so this was an opportunity to explain the survey a little bit more that was intended to go out. So our apologies for that. Yes, Mr. Burkett.
Mr. Knoll, do you hear anybody complaining a lot about what's currently happening, the way it's currently going?
No, I haven't really heard a whole lot of complaints
'Cause
from the community or from the staff. or from-
Students, the staff.
Well, the students want to be together, obviously,
Yeah.
and that's what we hear. But any other complaints, it hasn't been very vocal in my direction.
It just seems like that we have been beating this thing of trying to come up with something when it seems like we have the best option in place. That's my opinion.
Well, I can tell you this, I can speak for the staff and probably a lot of our students. We want to be Wildcats together, and that's the truth.
Right, and it's not going to happen splitting everybody up into
Right.
different schools. It's not going to happen. And in 3 more months, you're going to be back together.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for your leadership, all of you, but especially you, and your good sense of humor throughout this whole ordeal. And if any community in our county can do what you're doing, it would be Williamsport.
Thank you.
And so I can't provide enough prayer, encouragement, and kudos for what you're doing with our students. You are appreciated so much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Meyer, if I may, our commitment to our Williamsport High School staff is to continue the conversation and make it a priority to do a similar presentation and allow them to provide feedback. Time is critical, as Dr. Willow referenced. The intent of tonight was to inform and seek additional input from teachers and staff regarding the options that are viable. And as has been mentioned, there was no intent to make a decision tonight. But I'm seeking guidance from the board. What I would recommend is, since we have a small window of time, and if there was a desire to do the in-person switch, it's a pretty complex master scheduling process. So getting the survey back out to our constituents, our stakeholders, is really important that we get their feedback. We can have a meeting this week with the staff, and then what I recommend is once we have that meeting and get the staff's feedback, then in short order, the next day perhaps, we push this out to our staff, our community, and the intent was to have about a 5-day window, so everyone has a chance to weigh in, and then our team gets this back, and for the work session, which is in 2 weeks, the board has the benefit of seeing the feedback from our stakeholders before we do any type of additional planning, should there be a desire to shift something. But we have heard from our school communities, while the desire would be to be back at Williamsport High School together, they're making the best of this virtual experience, and I commend the leadership team and our teachers and our community partners for providing the off-site and after-hours one-on-one, in-person engagement that makes this experience more enhanced and goes far beyond just the virtual learning experience.
Mrs. Beachley, you had something you wanted to add?
It might be a little repetitious, but I did want to just thank the entire Williamsport teachers and staff and the staff here for leading the cleanup and restoration process. I know the team has worked tirelessly, and this board has asked a million questions, and every time we had an idea of how to get the students back sooner or as soon as possible, the team had already taken that step or they were willing to quickly explore it. I just wanted to clarify my comment to public comment earlier about Williamsport. If I alluded that superintendent or staff didn't consider teacher or staff input, that was not what I was trying to say. I do remember that the survey was to get teacher and staff feedback as well. Still, it's fair feedback, and again, I'm being a little repetitious. I'm sure, though, that parents and community members look to the staff about what is this survey, and you didn't have the answers. So I just wanted to clarify that. I'm typically more quiet because I like to think about my answers before I articulate my thoughts. So I wanted to say that. And I also wanted to thank the community partners for hosting and allowing the community hubs, because I think it's so important our students get to be in person, because I really worry about mental health during this challenging time. That was it.
Thank you. Dr. Savine?
Thank you, President Zentmeyer. That concludes my report segment. I do have a few updates. September is Attendance Awareness Month. Had a good conversation regarding the importance of attendance during our summer school discussion. Certainly increasing attendance is one of the priorities in our strategic plan. Regular student attendance continues to be one of the most significant factors in student success in school and beyond the classroom. We have talented teachers, but we need students in the seats on a regular basis so they can reach their full potential. Over the past year, WCPS has been sharing the message that regular school attendance matters because school is where connections are made, friendships are shared, and students are valued. Our students are reminded, you belong here. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our staff and our families for sharing this message and for reinforcing the importance of daily attendance. We will continue to share this information and resources with parents, families, and schools throughout the school year to keep this message visible and strong. I do want to spend a moment just extending my gratitude to our Student Support Services team. At the end of last year, they brought together about a 30-member task force to look at strategies that were yielding success in terms of student success, and they were also looking at the platform to make sure that when students transfer from one school to the next, there's not a gap in supports, and also looking at outreach with our parents to make sure that we are providing those necessary supports to make sure our students are regularly in attendance. So that is being implemented this year, and I just want to thank our school leaders, but most importantly, our Student Support Services team for that collaborative effort, and that is an ongoing focus this year and beyond. I do want to mention that also want to extend our thanks to our school families and staff for their support for our Focus Now, Phones Later initiative. Encouraging students to keep their phones turned off and out of sight during instructional time is so critical. This is the second year of this point of focus. We are seeing major results in terms of student engagement. I know our students value this and our staff value this as well. Also, we have another initiative. We'd like to thank our students and for their cooperation for their daily fit checks, as well as our parents and our caregivers, making sure their students' attire aligns with the dress code that was newly revamped and updated this year. These initiatives are helping our students stay focused by eliminating distractions in the classroom and in our schools throughout the day. And the last reminder this evening. I've had one calendar reminder to share, and all students may enjoy this. We have an early dismissal coming up on Wednesday, September the 24th. Again, on Wednesday, September the 24th, we will dismiss early, and that is coming up next week. President Zentmeyer, members of the board, that completes my update.
Thank you. As far as board reports to the board, curriculum and instruction will meet at Hager, 10 a.m. on September 30th. Mike is not here, but I think facilities is at 1 o'clock the same day. Policy,
Nothing?
anybody else have a report?
Finance was supposed to meet on October 28th, but we're working to change that.
Okay. Nora, do you have anything you want to report from student council?
We're in the process of planning our first General Assembly, which is October the 10th, right here in the same boardroom. We finally had our first meeting within the school year, and we're all brainstorming. The executive board of WCAC, or Washington County Association of Student Councils, is all working together to make sure that we can create a brighter future for our students. Thank you guys incredibly for your support of our organization, and we're excited to show you guys what we're going to do on October 10th.
Thank you. As far as future agenda items, if you have something you want added, see Mike or me. On October 7th, we'll have our audit report and an update on Williamsport. We'll also start thinking about legislative priorities, which brings us to board member comments.
So I'm gonna change what I was gonna say, and I'm gonna assume Mr. Prue might be the right person, maybe Ms. Baker might be the right person to ask this question to. I'd like to go back to item number 1 on our procurement, where we talked about where we approved the health and wellness weight management program. I think I misread that, and I just want to get a little bit of clarification on that. So if I remember correctly, our current insurance program, if you will, does provide for the GLP-1s. We're no longer providing that, and that this kind of offsets the cost for staff. We take on a little bit of it, but we kind of offset the cost of that. Is that accurate?
Yes.
As of September 1st, we are no longer covering the GLP-1s on our Cigna insurance.
Okay.
But this program is a health and wellness platform, not just for folks that want to use the GLP-1s or a compound, but for anyone who wants to be healthier. We are paying for the platform Noom for employees that are interested in that. That amount is $50 a person, and there's an estimate, not every employee is going to want to participate. And then they will have the option of reduced rates for compound drugs as well as the true GLP-1s if they want to purchase it on their own through Noom.
And so we don't pay for any of that cost,
No,
though?
not for the
We're just
drug.
paying for the Noom portion
For
of
the
it.
Noom part.
Correct.
Okay.
And when you look at the estimate on the consent agenda, which is an approximately $140,000 cost for the program, comparatively, the cost over the last, well, if I look at it as, I think the last 12-month period, rolling 12-month period for the GLP-1s was almost $6 million for the plan.
Right.
So it's a significant savings and provides a solid platform balanced with medical providers and dietitians supporting our employees through a virtual platform. The Noom is available for individual users, but they also have corporate accounts that we've established here that the health insurance fund is supporting, not the general fund.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I have nothing.
All right. In the 17th century, Edmund Marriott, no relation to Daryl, priest and pioneering physicist, made many significant discoveries. He identified the blind spot in your eye, the spot where the optic nerve passes through the retina and doesn't detect any images. We use blind spot a lot now. You can imagine, though, that this advanced the work in optics and human vision. It's also a great reminder to us to go beyond the surface and find a deeper meaning and a deeper understanding to what it is we're considering. We all have blind spots. We all have blind spots. So what's yours and how can you correct it? This meeting is adjourned.